coming back to life. We're coming back to life. Yeah, I think. Oh, well, hang on. It's tends to be a little unstable at the beginning. Yeah, god damn it. I think it's Restream.io, the service that I pay $50 or something. I pay for this, and it's supposed to like duplicate my signal and send it off in a variety of directions so that the VODs land on, the right YouTube channel as well as being broadcast to the regular YouTube channel. So we got RoninPawn.com slash, what is it? RoninPawn.com slash Pawn Live? Slash Pawn Live takes you to the place where the VODs are stored. And then we've got YouTube.com slash Ronin Pawn, and it sends it out to both of those and Twitch at the same time. And it's a service through Restream.io. And I've been having trouble. It's getting bad. Still, I've been having trouble for a while with the not being stable, especially at the beginning of starting up a stream. Yeah, I see it fluctuating wildly. And now that we're having like middle of the stream issues, I'm thinking Restream.io's servers are getting fucked. RP Live and Ronin Pawn. Yeah, RP Live is the name of the channel, but I think the way that you get there is roninpawn.com slash pawn live. I think that's the thing that I set up there. Yeah, it's dipping and popping and all of those things. Oh, God. I mean, it at least hasn't bottomed out to 0. But it's dipping. I'm seeing reds and yellows, in terms of like how many kbps I'm managing to shove through on this. Are you guys still getting like buffering? Cause, oof, ouch, 1770. It gets down and then it pops back to life, and then I think their servers are overtaxed, and I think I'm paying money for a function that should be free for the amount of consistency that it provides. Yeah, that's even where that did just bottom out completely. Yeah, it's still choppy. Great. Great. Do I even am I even set up to like broadcast directly to Twitch these days? Not really. Not really. My settings, stream, output, stream rather. I'm gonna try changing servers on Restream.io. Yeah. Hello again, I am the Ronin Pawn, and immediately the live stream consistency seems like fucking locked in the green. By change, just went red. Now yellow, now back to green. By changing to Washington on my server, which would be probably the auto-detected server for being in Detroit. So it would be the closest server, so if it keeps doing what it's doing, which it is doing that, then I'm going to try going to a server station that is further away from me, but that maybe isn't under a bunch of stupid load right now for no reason whatsoever. We can see that it's not my problem here. I mean, maybe it is. My Ethernet dipping in and out. It could be Comcast, but I would suspect Restream.io. It's been green for a couple of seconds. Can I carry on a little bit? I've completely forgotten what we were doing, so I guess the answer is no, you can't carry on. Absolutely not. Bang, bang. Bang, bang. Okay. That's working good. What was there an issue that we were trying to resolve, or did we just resolve the issues? I'm going to go over to our to-do list, get rid of clustertruck.config so I can see the to-do list. And we did reset key changes need to actually be stored. No, we didn't do that. No pattern file needs handled. Seems to be handled now, doesn't it? There is, I think it's stable now, says RMJ. Yeah, it seems to be, doesn't it? So maybe I just didn't need to change the servers, or maybe they, figured some shit out over at Restream. Or maybe it'll get bad in a second again. There is the issue of if I load up a file that is invalid, I get an error down here. It doesn't like crash the program, we're still running, but it just fails to actually do a thing. And then when I pop it out and pop it back in, it still fails to do a thing. It thinks it's running, but the truth be told, if I gave you the display capture again, move it up there, truth be told, after I load that file that I shouldn't have, yeah, we're stuck. It thinks game window not active, so it's, you know, broken the looping and everything like that. So that's another issue. Go ahead and get rid of that. That's another issue. But, you know, this is, so I'll add that in case I haven't already added it in here, which is, we'll need a thing for, non-compatible pattern file loaded needs handled. But no pattern file is handled. So that is out of the to-do list and into the pile of to-done list. So no pattern file needs handled. Complete overhaul of, like, let's just say that I made it work. No pattern file needs handled. It's handled. Because that's not the only thing that we to-do'd while we were doing that, while we were fixing that. It will also include reset key equals recursion depth error. And this is where I'll get the explanation in that related to both of them, really, or what I did. So reset key, this is going to be created main loop to call each state function when appropriate instead of nesting calls within calls. That's basically what we were doing. So that's those two down. Change the live split host. Live split, checkboxes, pattern list entries need to be uniquely identifiable. If two share a title, that's true. Change status updates to fit available GUI space. That's just a rewrite of those. Pattern list should include a running visualization. When pattern is active, move it on screen. Unsplit on false positives. Power button. Closed setting window sliver. Pause when inactive. Dependent. Okay, so it was those two things. I knocked out a to-do and a bug from our list. Did add another to-do, which is that non-compatible pattern files need to be, like, detected and then handled, which should be simple as this. Try pattern config, read file, loads it in. And then the idea would be, so it loads it in, and it manages to, like, do it. But then I kind of need to try self.game title. In fact, yeah, I could just do this. So I do the first one as a try event. And then I accept what, though? Basically any error. And for now, I'm just going to pass it. And then else, we load the rest of the data in. .main loop.active, print patterns read and stored. There's a command to just, like, ding. I need to do something more visual. I need to communicate more with the user there. You know, the text that says no file loaded, or so, it needs to change. which maybe means that load pattern should return a value, whether it returned, whether it worked or not. Yeah, so if I were to return false out of this, if I were to return false out of this as well, then we could catch these two failure states in the GUI. So over here where we will be calling load pattern, so self.file.load pattern. I don't think I really want to no, I won't fuck with it during the animation. I just want it when we're actually loading the file. So self.file.load pattern, so success equals self.file.load pattern. I do need to return true if it's good, actually. So back over to config handler. So if it works out and it manages to get through the whole thing, then return true. In fact, you can just do that there. If self.pattern file is not none. No. It should be like that. Return true. If it's none, then we return true as well. Like, we're okay with that? Yeah. Why wouldn't we be? We're cool. We're modern people. We're not afraid of, like, the gays and the Jews anymore. We've come a long way, us modern people. RMAJ going to make lunch for tomorrow, so just keep an eye out. Someone if the stream goes to poop again. Well, if nobody's watching to notice, then I guess it won't matter. Success is equal to self.file.load pattern. So if success, you would be back here, by the way. And then this stuff would be here. File name is equal to file name.split. Figure, text file name, load patterns, print file name, all that shit would happen. Otherwise, in other words, else, what we want is self.file label .config text is equal to incompatible file. So if I click on it and then we do clustertruck.config, loads it up, no problem. If we do settings.config, incompatible file. Do need to clear all of that stuff out though, right? Do we? If you try and load an incompatible file, yeah, I think we do. I think we will. It's the most like, oh, I fucked something up way to do it. So it's an incompatible file, and we will empty out the load patterns as well. So can I just do... In fact, patterns, could I just say is equal to an array? No. I could do none, though. Child.destroy for child and self.scroll test blibbity flibbity flu. Or just do this. You get. So that, what did I do? I broke something. Patterns. Sorry. Didn't mean to. But we'll set to incompatible file, and then we'll destroy all the children that exist in that window, which is going to cause the scroll bar to appear again. So from there, if I load up an incompatible file, no? Alright. We get an incompatible file. If I load in clustertruck.config, that loads up. If I go to settings.config, incompatible file. Boom, baby. The thing is, though, do we still have all of those settings loaded right now? Seems possible that we do. So if I were to go over to cluster truck, shoot, we can't see it. So if I were to put you back in the usual place, and then over to cluster truck, back out. No, it's dead. It's dead, Jim, which is how we want it. Now, if I were to load the file, clustertruck.config, and then go into cluster truck, immediately ready to begin. I back out, it goes to standby mode, so that's working. Here's a problem that we're going to have, that I know we're going to have. If I load an incompatible file, and then I do settings, and then close it again, reading selected pattern, are you alive? Holy crap. It's kind of just working. Let's also, while we're here, I don't know why that's just working. I'll talk about that in just a second, but let's also, while we're here, could I do the status label? Text equals no patterns loaded. So, get you back over here, usual place. In fact, I will close you and reopen so you'll stay in that place. And if I pop into cluster truck, live split is connected, but nothing else happens. Good. If I then try to load up an invalid file, label object is not callable. Oh, of course it isn't. So label.config. Sorry about that. Restart. We load up an incompatible file. No patterns loaded, incompatible file. I pop in, nothing happens, nothing breaking. We're good. We're very good. Now, if I load up a compatible file, and then I pop in, we're immediately in the standby mode. We come through the campaign, we're ready to go. Things working. If I then open, close, still working, right? Still working. If I load up an incompatible file there, and then I go back into cluster truck. See, I'm surprised that what's surprising to me is that because I haven't like unloaded the data that we'd want to be accessing right now. I haven't unloaded the data, and yet it's not working. Like, I tried to load in some new stuff. It didn't work. So we didn't load in anything new over the top of it when we called load pattern. It didn't, it tried to load it, it didn't, but that doesn't mean that these values are not still in memory before being changed to something new. After we load a file in, those values are loaded in memory, and then we try to call an incompatible one. Those values should still be in memory, and the question is, why is it not operating off of those values? Which is great, I don't want it to, but I don't understand why I expect it to. And I have a feeling, I'm hooked on a feeling, and I'm stuck believing that I'm in love with you. I need to, before I go breaking something, I need to copy, paste. Okay, just make sure that I got a copy of the config values. So if I were to close you now, and then reopen, settings.config. It tried to load or it made settings.config see, there's gonna be, that's why I'm thinking, like, there's gotta be bugs with that, right? There's gotta be fucking bugs. So instead of just returning false, like, I think what we need to do Hey, I'm stuck on a feeling, and I'm something believing that I'm a dickweed too. Success equals self.file pattern load equals file name. Sure. And then there's that. And then, like, here's something I need to do then. Self.file.patternfile dot nothing is equal to nothing. You know, if it's an incompatible file, then I need you to not save that like you did here. So if I go here and I click on settings.cfg, well, we got to restart the program. So the new code's in place now. If I go here, I click on settings.cfg, it's an incompatible file. Then I close the program down, I open it up, and there's no file loaded. That's what we want to see. Cluster truck, pop that in, immediately it's good. But then when I click on, you know, a settings file, it's an incompatible file, no patterns loaded. But that's not quite true, is it? Bond. You know, it's not quite true. Those patterns are still in there, one would think. But we're okay right now because we're only saving to the settings file. Why is it not accessing those things, though? I'm high on believing. F my tits. Hello. It's blue on black. It's push on a shove. It's cry in a river, piss in a stream. Don't mean much. Mugged? Were you mugged? You know what they say, every Democrat is just a Republican, or no, what is it? Every Democrat is just a Republican who's never been bugged. Yeah, that's what it is. Except for that, you know, Democrats are actually like what they are, people who give a shit, and then the Republicans are, you know, have a fiscal economic policy. So it's not true, is what I'm saying. Have you been mugged? Was my question. So yeah, when I load the file in, oh god, you guys can't see. Well, yeah, you can. So I load the file in, boom, the file gets loaded. If I try and load an incompatible file, it just reports an incompatible file, but I'm still confused as to why, just grope me. I'm still confused as to why it would not run off of the patterns that are in memory currently. And it's not the way that I want it to behave. Like, this is very convenient, but I don't understand why, what is stopping it from going. Do I need to? I mean, you kind of do, just to make sure that you're not effing everything up. You know, that's not going to be an issue later that's going to create more bugs or problems in the future. You kind of need to understand why that is, I would think. Anyway, when I'm done here, what if I just printed, like, file dot... I'm sorry, self dot file dot all patterns. So we load up, there's no file loaded, and then I load up a file that isn't a file, and file access object has no attributes, all patterns. Okay, fair enough. I load up clustertruck.config, and then it prints out the all patterns, which is right there. It's that line. So the all patterns are now there. Now, if I load file again and go to an invalid file, they're still there, and that's the thing that's like wrecking my noodle a little bit. It's wrecking my noodle a little bit. Maybe if I just play it, it'll crash it. I just need to, like, clear a level complete and trigger some of the functions, and it'll make my world make sense. It didn't start the run in live split. It's not reacting to the run anywhere. This is really... Oh, that was fast as hell. It's really weird. It's really, really weird that it's actually working. This way, anyway. I just wouldn't expect it to not do these things anymore. I loaded in a file. The file... Maybe what I need to do is load in a compatible file. Okay, it's been loaded in. And by the way, it still says no patterns loaded, so let's change that to self.file.label. Oh, no. I want the status label to update. So status label will read, file loaded. So, we loaded in. Game window not active. If I were to go to an incompatible file and then come back, file loaded, and then I get in, and we're immediately in standby mode, and we're running, we're operating. Let's do this. Let's get the timer running. Let's prove that it's going, and it is. You can't see live split right now. I'll get live split up for you so you can see what I'm seeing. There's live split now. Run another level. Okay. Oh, beautiful. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click over here and I'm going to load an incompatible file. Incompatible file is now, you know, loaded / not loaded. I go back to next level and we go, and no, it's not. It's incredibly awesome that this is working without me understanding why. That it just, you know, there is no file loaded, it's not working anymore. But I don't understand why it's not working anymore. So let's say then, mid-friggin' run, I went back to cluster-direct.config, loaded it back in, got back into cluster truck, and carried on. And we're immediately back to speed running, and it paused it and stuff. It's just, it's unexpected success there. Okay. Reset still works. Ooh. What if I went to an incompatible file and then hit the reset button? Doesn't care. Doesn't give a crap. If I pop it in and out, hit the reset button, it's something is more solid in my program than I thought it should be. So load up clustertruck.config, close it down, and then reopen it. It's just good. Alright, I'm going to get rid of the, no, not the Twitch overlay. I'm going to get rid of the display capture and live split and bring you back over here. Okay, well, I mean, it works. I don't understand why, and I don't care. To-do list, non-compatible pattern file loaded needs handled. It's handled. There's another thing that we get to knock off the old list of programming to-dos. So, like, it works, and I'm not quite sure why. I'm not quite sure why after loading a valid file, then an invalid one, it ceases function. Which is exactly how we'd want it to go, but I just don't understand why it's doing it. I can't seem to trigger any bugs based on... I just think that would be like a bug's paradise right there. You'd have a bug because the values are all still loaded into memory. They're all still there to be accessed. If I pop the values in and out of here, if I update and change them, and then it tries to save back to the file or something like... Aha! Now there's a place where maybe I can fuck it up. So if I go to settings.config... and then I load this out, and then I change the states of these guys, and then I do that, and then I close the file, and then I reopen. But that's settings. Those are settings, Pawn. You're right. If I hit restore defaults, and then I close, and then I close, and then I pop in. It's fucking strong. It's just working, and I shouldn't be so like, that's not right, but it's not right, but it works. I don't care. All right, I'm going on. I'm moving on. I can't figure out a way to break it, then it's fine. I'm sticking with it. At least for now. It'll probably come up as an issue when we get to being able to control the... No, it shouldn't. Whatever. I code so well, I don't have to understand the code. You know, I'm a fucking savant. I just sit down and I smack the keys a couple of times, and it's just, boom, you got a cluster truck auto splitter. I'm amazing. What else is in the list here? LEDs, reset key actually needs to store the changes. Live split host needs to reconnect on insert if you change it and stuff like that. Connection attempts should be non-blocking. Not like failsafe live split comms. Checkboxes need to actually do what checkboxes are supposed to do. Pattern list entries need to uniquely be identified. Change status updates to fit available GUI space. That's an easy one anyway. Pattern list should include a running visualization. That's true. I do want one of those. It's not really going to fit, and that sucks, because if I add one more, then I'm going to get a fucking scroll bar on the side of it. What are you going to do? What? No, Pawn, I have not been mugged. Smack my keys, says Army. Mugged? I don't think Mugged stuck around. Are you still here, Mugged? You said hello, and then I just, like, launched into being me. Did that scare you off, or are you still... He's probably gone. They're all gone, right? Didn't we have, like, 97,000 people here earlier? And then... the monkey with the... He just drove him away. I'm curious. Holy crap, look at all the people who were here at one point. I don't know. The list doesn't seem to, like, update or populate itself. Wow. Like, I won't say any of your names, you lurkers. If you are still here. I can't be bothered to refresh my thing either. I think I've actually come to the end of this live stream. Because I need to pee. And the things that are remaining to do are either too easy to be bothered with right this second, or they're too difficult to, you know, whip together on the live stream right now. There's not a lot left here. Tying the wires into the LEDs, getting the reset keys stored appropriately, both of those are easily doable. The live split stuff is going to be not crazy difficult, but, you know, it'll take a minute. Checkboxes, doing what they need to do, and then saving back to the file that they do it in is going to be a little bit of a thing, but it is a little bit of a thing. I'm still looking at this going, man, not a big deal. Pattern list entries need to uniquely identify. Again, know exactly how I'm going to do that, not a big deal. Status updates to fit available GUI space. That is just me sitting down and coming up with different verbiage that will fit in this area at the very bottom there. Pattern list should include a running visualization. That's nothing. It will take a little extra code, but again, nothing. When pattern is active, move pattern on screen. If not, if scroll bar. That is a son of a bitch right there. That's actually one of the hardest things that I'm going to have to deal with if I decide to do that. Probably. Because it's going to have to automatically, my scroll bar thing is going to have to automatically scroll itself to a selected item. I don't even know where to start on that. Unsplit on known false splits. That's kind of a big deal. Right there. We're already doing the test, so I can send the unsplit command easily. Actually, it's not a big deal. Yeah, as I think of it, it's just all I have to do is send the unsplit command once when I detect that state, which is already like I could put that in right now and it'd be, but I'll wait. But I will put that at like the top because that'll be an easy thing to do when I get around to it. When patterns power button to pause and disable the auto splitter, we now can support the idea of pausing and disabling it. It might take a little bit more code in the main loop thread there, but it won't take much. Like, we're doing it in a way that very easily supports the idea of, all right, just pause the loop. Don't worry about the loop for now. So that's cool. Needs some fancy split RP logo and an application icon, and we're done, man. Like, there aren't other things that I can think of right now that need to happen except those things, and not a one of them is a hair puller except for auto-scrolling the scroll bar to a selection. That's a son of a biscuit is what it is. 7-Eleven. You got 7-11 points. Well, I need to stop the live stream now before you get any more of them so you can keep that number. So, I will do you a favor as well as me since I need to pee. And I will shut this thing down. I am the Ronin Ball! Thank you for joining me in these final days of development on the Cluster Truck Autosplitter. I feel like one day's development, or maybe even just one more live stream if I do it live, and she'll be ready to ship. Ready to send out and package, distribute to the other speedrunners at Landfall Games Discord server. I think we're ready. We are there, baby. We are on the cusp of the beginning of the precipice of the bleeding edge of the razor's Occam of the next live stream on Friday. Point out!